Hey, this is Steve Volkers and
Sue Pasteur.
Julie Bacon.
and this is What's in the Cup. Oh my goodness, we're at Mitten Brewing, so you might guess what's in the cup. I've only had half a cup, so don't get too excited yet, but it might get more fun as we go along. This is episode 1, and we're going to talk a little bit about reinventing, right?
Yes,
so
exactly.
Or inventing.
Or inventing, right? It's spring. We're coming to you in what feels like spring. It's 50 degrees outside right now. More than that, almost 60. Woo. So, it feels like spring's upon us, right? Even though it's only mid-February, but it just feels like change happens, seasons happen in Michigan. Super excited. But also, we've got a market that has a little bit of a hiccup with no inventory, right? Insanity and everything else, and it's weird, right? And so we know in our leadership positions, people are coming. And they're asking, what's happening? What's going to change? How do we adjust? Those kind of things. So we thought we'd spend a little bit of time just really getting into how do you reinvent. Reinvent based on market, reinvent based on human, behavior, based on where you are in your life, right? And lifestyles. Like, just how do we change? How do we adjust? Who, what, where, and why kind of thing, right? So that's the opening. You ladies have something you want to throw in?
I was actually in a meeting with some agents the other day, and we were talking about this. And the buyer's agents, of course, were so frustrated because there's no inventory. And really, not to minimize it, because it is a real issue, but there's always something. A handful of years ago, there was a major recession. Maybe some of you remember it.
Or didn't it?
Yes. And all of a sudden,
I blocked that memory.
Me too. Yeah. We at First American became short sale specialists. We had a short sale department. It was reading what was coming next, figuring out how to reinvent. It was a point in time where we had 8 people in that department for about 4 or 5 years.
Right.
And now we're totally out of that. So I think reading the market, figuring out how to get in front of it, what you're going to do differently.
I had to figure out how to construct and run a loss mitigation department during that time.
Yeah.
Right.
Whew.
So,
Education.
how are you ladies shifting to the market now? How are we adjusting to the new current, right? Which, if sometimes you're like, oh, this is new, but really we've sort of been working our way into it, and I'm sure we'll work our way back out of it in a year or two. But we're sitting in the middle of 2,800 agents in our association and 1,200 listings, right?
Yeah.
That's
About
half a listing,
57, right?
Right.
I would say one of the things I talk to agents a lot about now is prospecting. I mean, it's obviously what we do, but I talk to experienced agents about door knocking. They looked at me like I had
I've had that conversation 3 times today.
And I said, it's not door-to-door sales when you legitimately have a buyer who wants to be in that neighborhood.
Right.
And you're professional, you're put together. We have this idea. So just kind of putting ideas that you didn't think you were going to do back on the table.
Yeah, it's, I learned door knocking and did it for a year 10 years ago when I started my career, and I hung that up on the hook, hoping never to take it off the hook again. Right?
Welcome to 2017.
Right? Now we're here, right? And I'm thinking, man, I'm driving around neighborhoods, there's not a sign, but I'm sure that on this block someone would sell if they got the right price for their house and knew that they could get it, right?
Yes.
But they don't know what they don't know, right? Like, that's our job, to reinvent ourselves to meet them where they are. We no longer are attracting hundreds of leads and then just working those, right? That model is dying, right? You might be buying more and they're costing you a lot more, but that model is starting to fade away. Now it's how do we go out and hunt and gather again, right? We can't.
Can I say something from a consumer aspect on that? It's not just about price. Thinking that, I'm going to get this, or I need to be at this price level. They can now in a lot of stages. It sounds like so much work. I don't want to do this. Right. So, I mean, how many agents are really like, here, I I have people that can help you do this, and
Right.
this is how much it costs.
Right.
And it's just a question. I mean,
Right. Right. So get off your high horse, right? I mean, in a way, like it's a change, right? And if you don't shift, one of the new kids in our 40-hour class is going to, right? They're going to go out and door knock, and you're going to wonder why that neighborhood that you thought was yours is no longer yours in 2 years, right? And so, guys and ladies, we would just say, as we talk about the shifting market or adjustment in the market, no inventory, go out and build it.
Be open to ideas,
it. Create it.
Right? The song that keeps on going through my head is matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Right? Like, that's your job right now. No, that's as far as I get. As far as I go. That's as far as I go right now. So that's part one in reinventing based on where we're at today, right? We're going to hopefully get into like how we mentally prepare ourselves, right? Coaching or education or, what are the, MLS and how you get involved in associations, or where do you gain insight to be able to reinvent? We're going to talk about next. So that's episode 1 of What's in the Cup, Reinventing. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Oh, I thought we were